has been a while since I've sat down in front of the camera. This year has just been crazy, and I knew it was going to be. Earlier this year, I graduated college, and then I did tons of summer jobs, which took me all over the place. After that, I recently got engaged, and then I got married very recently, like 3 weeks ago. And I've moved so many times this year. I've lived in so many places this year. And now, finally, I'm in a spot that I shouldn't move from for the next like 6 months, basically. And I also chopped my hair very, very recently. It's just like been a crazy year. A crazy good year too. I'm happy with all of it. But I am excited to just be in one place for a while, doing one thing for a while. I have a job, I have a husband, I have a home, and I'm really excited to just have a home and have a place and not have to move all the time. So yeah, since moving out of my parents' house, I've mostly lived with roommates, which is fine. I've lived in many apartments and just had my own room. And now I live with my husband, and we have a mini apartment. It's really just a studio apartment, but we really like it. It's perfect for us right now. And the best part about it is that I've been able to do lots of things to make it my own little space. And those are they're things that I naturally would have done anyways, but things I couldn't have done before. Like have a table of my own that I chose. I've never been able to do that before, and that was super fun. I'm super grateful for the opportunity. So basically I'm making a little home, and although my home doesn't have maybe the same things that a house would or even a bigger apartment would, I'm grateful that I can have a space that I can make my own. So basically in this video I just want to do some more steps to make this home more me, more us, and I'm excited to do that. So some steps that I've done that I haven't shown you. I actually wanted to film a lot of the process of like putting my apartment together, but honestly was so overwhelmed at the time. I was engaged, I was planning a wedding, I was prepping for a wedding, I was getting married, and at the same time trying to put my house together, and that was just a lot. And I could not film on top of that, is what I discovered, and so I didn't. Some steps that I want to show you and tell you that I've already taken in this home. We are renting, so they're not permanent things a lot, but I got this table. It actually was, I got it for $45 off of Facebook Marketplace, and it was in rough condition. The previous owner bought it from someone else to flip it, to restore it, and she only did it about halfway. And so I got it from her and finished flipping it. Basically I sanded it down all of the way, I stained it, and then I finished it with like a top coat, and I re-finished the cushions, like put on new fabric and stuff, and she's perfect now. I love her. It took so much longer than I originally expected that it would, but that's totally okay. I also put up those pictures. I guess they're paintings, but they're prints. I got the prints from Etsy, printed them, framed them. I've been doing lots of thrifting for my apartment. Our bed didn't originally have a headboard. I got one that I think is really pretty. I got some nightstands from Facebook Marketplace as well, which I sanded down and painted. I got some shelves. I've just done tons of organizing, and it's been a lot of fun. It looks much different when we moved in. Well, when my husband moved in. And we really like it. I love it. My husband loves it, which is great. He thinks that I've been very creative, which is cool. Yeah, so I've already done a lot of things. I wouldn't say that it's done, that the apartment itself is done, but I don't know if it ever will be. This is not my forever home, you know? I would obviously love to have a house someday and then change different details. So nothing in this home is ever going to be perfect to me. But as far as renting, I wouldn't say it's done, and maybe it won't be. By the time we move out, we're only here for another 6 months. But there are some things that I would like to do in today's video. I would like to create a bed skirt for our bed. We actually put one on a registry, but no one ended up buying it. So I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll just make my own bed skirt. Our apartment has very minimal storage. There's not a lot of storage, but between the two of us, we do have a lot of stuff. And so we have had to use what space is under the bed as storage, which is fine. I think a lot of people would probably also do that, but it's not cute. And so I would like to cover it with a bed skirt, which should be a fairly simple thing to do, and I can show you guys how to do it so that you can create it in your own space as well. Another thing I would like to do, my husband is the chef in our house. He does the majority of the cooking and baking, actually. I do a lot of baking too and cooking, but he does the big parts of it, which I'm super grateful for. For my wedding, my mom gifted me an apron, and it's super cute. I love it. She made it herself, and I don't trust him to keep it clean, but he loves to cook with an apron. And so, again, instead of buying one, I'm going to make one for him. So I'm going to create a bed skirt, and I am also going to be creating an apron. Those are the two things that I want to make for my home today, and they're pretty simple, and so I'd like to show you also. So let's just get started. Okay, this is what our bed looks like right now. It's got all of the details that I really love. I have these two mismatched lamps. I thrifted a lot of this stuff, I guess. The two nightstands, like I said, the headboard I got from Facebook Marketplace, the lamps I thrifted. This beautiful quilt I actually did not make. One of my grandmas made it for me. Yeah, so we're gonna work on the bed skirt first. And what we need to do for that is actually take the mattress off of the bed frame. So that's the first step. Let's go ahead and do that. My husband's gonna come home and think I'm crazy for doing this. He's at work right now, and that's kind of why I'm doing it right now. I'm gonna do this by myself. What's that? Alright, don't fall, please. So, as you can see, we have a lot of stuff under the bed. Actually, like, looking at it like this, it doesn't seem like that much, but we have a lot of stuff under there. And, like, to just see it, it's just ugly to me, and so I don't like it. So the reason why we had to take it off Well, when you have to take it off to put the bed skirt on, what I am doing, I have this piece. Well, actually, this was also a bed sheet that I thrifted. Surprise, surprise. I think it's a twin size, so obviously it's a little too small, but we're making adjustments to it so that it'll fit. But the reason I had to take it off was to see how big this piece needed to be. So basically you need a very big piece to go on top of the whole base of the bed frame. So that's why we took it off, so that we could see how big it needs to be. A twin bed sheet I don't think would work for a king, but this is a queen bed, and so if you wanted to do the same for your queen bed, you could use this also. This piece does not have to be pretty. No one is going to see it, so it's not going to be pretty. What I did was I cut off some of the bottom because it's longer than it needs to be, and then that's what it was. I ripped that in half also. Then we're going to sew them together so it's a big long piece, skinny piece, and we're going to sew it on that side. And that should be just enough, if not more than we need, to cover this bottom. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come back. Okay, so there's a tiny little skinny piece there. So some areas it maybe looks a little too small. Basically, once it's stretched out fully, it should cover the whole thing. You want it to be kind of a snug fit. So that's looking really good. It might be a little too long. I'm gonna have to check that in a second. But another thing, my bed frame has a curve here, and so we want to create that curve here also. Now if yours doesn't have it, don't do it, but for me this makes it a lot easier because I don't have to trickily figure out how to sew along this curve or along the square later. But I'm gonna cut out this curve so that it just goes right with the bed frame, so that once it's done you don't see this weird triangle popping out from the mattress. So make sure it matches exactly what your bed frame looks like underneath. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need is a lot of material to make this pretty bed skirt. When my husband moved into this apartment when we were just engaged, I went to TJ Maxx and I picked up a set of sheets for the bed. And it was just like the best ones I could find. I've been into stripes lately. I really like stripes, so I got him these striped sheets. He does not like the flat sheet. I do like the flat sheet, but I actually hate the way these sheets feel. They feel very plasticky to me. Even though I'm pretty sure they're 100% cotton. I have no idea. But I don't love the way these sheets feel anyway, so I was like, yeah, I don't want to use the flat sheet either. And so we're going to use this flat sheet to create our bed skirt. So it actually will match our mattress exactly, because we are still using the fitted sheet for now until we get a better one. But the bed skirt I put on my registry was striped, not like this, but I was like, yeah, why not just do that? So that's what we're going to do. We're also going to create the apron from this because again it kind of feels plasticky, so I actually think it'd be great for an apron because it seems like things would be cleaner because it's more plasticky. Maybe that's why they're plasticky, I don't know. But that is the goal. So the next step we need to do is measure how long it needs to be. Okay, we're just gonna measure how tall it needs to be. So you're gonna do it to the top of your bed frame from the floor. You want it to touch the floor. Just barely over 14 inches. So I'm gonna plan for 14 inches. I think that should do it. And then for seam allowances, we're gonna want a little hem at the bottom. So that's gonna be, let's say, another 3/4 of an inch. And then another 1/4 of an inch for seam allowance at the top where it's going to connect to that white sheet. So that's 15 inches, perfect. So we're gonna cut long pieces of 15, as long as you can get, and then stitch it all together. I'll kind of show you what that looks like. What I just did, cut these pieces. I cut 4 of them, which they're pretty long. And the reason why I cut 4 is because I want it to be a little ruffled. Now, you have the choice to ruffle it, not ruffle it. If you want to ruffle it, you can do a tiny bit, you can do a lot. You'll probably want to cut enough length to cover it double, if that makes sense. So it's going to go around 3 of the 4 sides. So you want enough length that it can probably, you could fold it in half and then it could cover it perfectly. Even if you don't, I guess if you don't want a ruffle, just do enough so that it covers it plus some, just a little bit. If you want a lot of ruffle, you'll probably use all of it. I only want a little ruffle, so I probably won't end up using all of it, but that's okay. Yeah, hopefully that made sense, but I cut 4 of the pieces because I need a lot, and then maybe you can see that seam, maybe you can't, but then I just stitched them all together so I have this massive, super long piece where, again, if I folded it in half, I could probably cover the whole thing. So yeah, super long piece of fabric. So now we're going to sew it to that white piece of fabric that's going to cover the whole top of the bed frame. If you're a seamstress, you know that there's a way to, you can do a basting stitch, and then you use that stitch to then gather the fabric perfectly to other fabric. That would take years with how long this piece is, so I'm going to be lazy. I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to fudge it, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. But this is just like this is just an easier, friendlier way to do some gathering. So let me show you how to do it. I'm lining it up to just like the start of this is the corner piece, but it's curved. So at the start of the curve, I'm gonna line up this edge, and we're just gonna get started. So basically, I just want some tucks. So I'm gonna use probably my nail, but you could also use a pin just to guide a little tuck. Now you just want to do it to that top layer, like that. And I'm just going to do it every now and then. And again, you're just going to do it to the pretty fabric, not what's going to go on the bed frame. You just want to do it to the pretty fabric. And you might want a lot of fullness, and so you might do it way more often than I am. I'm just doing it just a little bit to just add a little bit of fullness. I'm doing it about every 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I just want a little bit of fullness. So do that as much as you want. Maybe this is more tedious to you than using a basting stitch to gather it. I think a basting stitch is so much more tedious and time consuming. I just hate it. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it all the way around, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so once you have finished gathering all of that, that took me like an hour. So it is a time commitment, but it's worth it. This is what it kind of should look like. Hopefully you can see that. It's just, yeah. This is the top, obviously, and there's the bottom. So it's just a big, massive piece of fabric. So now what we need to do is hem it, which is simpler, I think. Again, I'm gonna cheat it. I'm just gonna fold a 1/4 inch and then fold a 1/2 inch and then sew the whole thing. It doesn't have to be super pretty. It depends on you. In my head, one that was ordered from Amazon, which is, if someone had ordered it from our registry for us, it would have come from Amazon. It wasn't that expensive. It probably wouldn't have been the best quality anyway, so I'm like, this doesn't have to be best quality. And it's not permanent, it's not gonna be forever. Maybe we'll use it for years, who knows. But let me finish it and then I can show you guys the finished project of the bed skirt. We still have to do the apron. The last step is ironing all of it, which is gonna take a minute, but it's so worth it. It just makes everything look clean, and if you messed up, it's okay, because if you iron it again, it makes it look clean, makes it look complete. Even I would iron the ruffles too, because again, it just makes them look so much neater, just pressed. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, here is how it looks all on its own. I think it's perfect. It ended up exactly the way I wanted it to, and it covers the clutter, which was the goal. So I'm gonna assemble the bed again, and let's see what it looks like all together. It looks amazing. I love it. This is exactly what this bed needed. Actually, looking at it, it looks way taller, which is awesome. I love that. I think because it's more like seamless and there's not so much like to look at down here. It feels a lot taller and I love it. I think the stripes actually complement the pattern of the quilt also. I was a little worried about it, but I think it complements it. I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. So hopefully that gave you some inspiration for your own bedroom, and maybe you want to create this for your bed. It definitely did exactly what I was hoping it did, and I'm very happy with it. So let's move on to making the apron next. If you would like to make the apron along with me, this is what you're going to need. So first we're going to start with a square. It's 30 inches by 30 inches. And then you need 3 pieces. One is going to be for the neck, and the other 2 will be for ties around the waist. And each of those are 3 by 25 inches. So you'll need those pieces. You could potentially also add a pocket if you'd like. I'm not going to at this moment, just because I don't think my husband would use one in an apron, so I'm not going to add it. But yeah, that's what you need to start with. Then, it's not going to stay a square. I've never actually seen a full body apron that is a square. So the next thing, we're just going to fold this square in half. This kind of project doesn't take a lot of material, so you could probably make it from almost anything. I actually have made him a apron before. He just lost it. And so I'm making him another one. But the first one I made from like scraps from a dress project I had. And now obviously here I'm making it from a bed sheet. Now we need to make like a curve for the arms. So I'm just gonna freehand it. I do want the top to be about 10 inches across, so that means we need it to be 5 plus a little bit, so we'll do 5 3/4. Gonna make a little snip right there, and then I'm just gonna go for it. Okay, should look something like that. That's looking a little more like an apron. So now we're just gonna finish it off. I don't know how else to explain it. Basically what we'll want to do next is fold these pieces together and sew it into a little tube. We'll do that with all of them. On 2, we'll also sew it on an edge to close it off, but on the neck one it doesn't really matter. And then we just kind of start sewing it all together. So I'll do that and I'll try and share each part. To show you the process, you're going to sew it right sides together, then turn it inside out, and then you'll press it open and top stitch all around the edges to make it super clean. So once you've done that to all of them, we're ready for the next step. Next, you'll take your big piece, and what we're going to do is start folding in and pressing all of the sides. So first we're going to start by doing a 1/4 inch. And you're just going to go ahead and do this to, again, every single side, even the curved edges as well. This is how we're going to finish it off, super nice, and just make it super neat and finished. So first you're going to start by doing a 1/4 inch. And again, do it just on every single side. After, I'm going to skip ahead so I can show you. After you've done it on all the sides, you're going to fold over another 1/2 inch and do that on all of the sides. Including the curved ones. Just makes those edges look so nice and neat. So yeah, go ahead and do all of that. This is what it will look like after you've pressed all of those edges. Now what you want to do is stitch the folds for the 2 curved edges and the bottom in place. So leave the sides and the top out, but you want to do the 2 curved edges and the bottom. Make sense? Now that that's done, we can start adding all of the different ties and straps. So the one that's for the neck, we are going to place it like it's going to be at the neck. Right there, like this. So line it up to the edges and then stick this part over it. You might want to put it just a little closer to that edge. Hopefully you can see that. And then we're just going to pin that right there. Do to the other side. And then basically we're going to just stitch over that fold to finish it, and then it'll be attached. So we're going to do that for the sides as well. So you just put it there. Fold the flap over it. And specifically you want it to be right up at that edge. Like that. Now what you're going to do is sew the sides and the top, just like you did with the other ones. And just make sure that these straps stay out of the way. Now we're on to the last step. So this is how the top looks. Obviously, you want the strap to be going up, so we're gonna pull it up. Actually, we're gonna turn it around so that we can see the front. Start right at that edge. We're going to create a square so that it can be up correct, but also super strong. Pivot at the corners. Pivot again. And that's it. You'll just create a little square around it. And just do that to every single one of them so that they can be upright and super, super sturdy. After that, just do a final press and then the apron is totally done. We finished the apron. Let's go ahead and try it on. Hopefully my husband likes it. I'll show it to him later when he gets home. I think it's perfect. I think it'll fit him better, honestly, but it was super simple, right? It took actually way less time than the bed skirt did. It took about an hour. Super nice. So it was a super quick project, and now we get to hang it up for him next to the cute apron my mom made me. Perfect. So now we both have our own aprons, and now he can't steal mine. And we finished a bed skirt and it looks amazing. So 2 very successful home projects that we were able to complete today. And I feel really good about them. They were things that I wanted to get checked off my list for a while, but I just couldn't get around to it until now. But yeah, I think they turned out really good. Hopefully this inspired you guys to do some little sewing projects for your own home. Maybe it's not a bed skirt and an apron. Maybe it's something totally different. But I hope it inspired you to go ahead and do that, and that you can do those things from whatever you want. I did both of these from bed sheets that I already had, but you could totally thrift bed sheets. You could use secondhand clothing. Do whatever you want to, but just be creative. And you can do it in so many ways. I often do sewing for clothing and stuff like that, but it's nice to be able to do it for my own home too. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. If you enjoy sewing, home content, decorating, all of that sort of stuff, subscribe to my channel. There's going to be a lot of that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me. See you in the next one. Bye.